Crystal Gems. Oh no, wait a minute. I'm confused here. This is that other awesome animated show that's on at the moment. Yeah, Dungeons, Dungeons and More Dungeons. I was really excited actually when I just heard the title for this one because I thought, oh wow, is it going to be like a parody of like Zelda? Because Zelda has such a massive basis in dungeons, because it's like the sort of levels of the game, it's sort of a staple of the franchise. But no, it's that other sort of nerdy kind of thing that has quite a big sort of cult following that has dungeons in it, Dungeons and Dragons, which I've never played and I don't have any plans. I think this episode does quite a good job of emphasising exactly why I'm not all that interested, because I like the way actually it's kind of paying homage to Dungeons and Dragons with, I assume it does quite a good job of, recreating the ideas and the kind of way that the game works and everything. As I say, I've never played it, so I don't know. But it also has the kind of the other side of things, like with Stan and Mabel, just the sort of idea that, they don't really get it. And there's a good lesson at the end, I think, which is like, Stan basically sort of saying, I don't get this isn't my thing at all, but I get why you like it, and, I'm okay with that. That's fine by me. And it's okay to not like things, just don't be a dick about it. So yeah, there was a Zelda reference in it, in this episode, so, it was better than nothing, but yeah, love Zelda, couldn't give a shit about D&D. Kind of interesting, I thought actually it was going to be a bit more sort of humorous, that maybe a lot of the jokes kind of went over my head because I don't play Dungeons and Dragons. Also kind of interesting to sort of see this kind of rift forming maybe between Dipper and Mabel and Stan and Ford maybe. I mean, kind of, they sort of bond at the end with Stan and Mabel saving them. Yeah, it looks like they are sort of going off in their kind of separate ways because there's that bit at the end where Ford sort of says you mustn't even tell Stan and Mabel about that little sort of energy form thing that he's found, which presumably is going to come into play. Things I like the way that this is kind of like quite obviously a filler episode, but we do get some important stuff here. They are sort of asking the questions. Like what exactly is Ford doing here? Where he's been this whole time? And, a little bit of sort of foreshadowing into the next episode, what is that thing that he has found in the rift and everything. I still don't really understand exactly why Ford is still mad at Stan. He got him out of the rift after all. Obviously he's mad with him for causing him to go into that rift in the first place, but, he got him out. He could have just left him there for the rest of his life. He worked tirelessly for 30 years to get him out. He's still mad at him. I don't really follow that. Just to go back to the previous episode, just very briefly, another thing I noticed from rewatching it, the scene where Stan breaks the perpetual motion machine, you can actually see, even at the end of the scene, when Stan sort of tries to put it back together and puts the cover back over, it's actually still working. It's only when Ford takes the cover off the next morning that it's actually stopped. So I think Stan didn't actually break it. I think somebody else has sabotaged it to ensure that Ford doesn't get into this great school or something. So I think there's something else going on here that we might find out later in the series. So it'd be hilarious if I was completely wrong about that, wouldn't it? I'm trying to think what else. This was very much a filler episode. It was just sort of jokes and everything. It didn't actually sort of make me laugh quite as much. This is probably up there with, or down there even, with the Gulf War. Is probably my least favourite episode of this season. Not to say it isn't good, there is no such thing as a bad episode of Gravity Falls, as they say, all the episodes are good. It just didn't quite make me laugh as much. I mean, there's a few sort of good lines, like the wizard character, I forget his name. How did you get past my one guard? I mean, it was quite a good, quite a large and quite an effective guard, you'd think, but yeah, sort of acknowledging that kind of trope you see in these kind of adventure things from time to time, that they do often only put out one guard to try and stop people, and it's quite easy to just evade them or outsmart them or whatever a lot of the time. So I like that line. I think that's the first time that the goat has been named in the actual show. I mean, I knew it was called Gompers just from looking up stuff online, but I don't think they've actually used that name in the actual show before. I think that goat is going to be important to something because you do see it a bit more sort of often than you would expect to see just a random background character, or background animal even. So I think there's something to that goat. I think there's something going on there as well. No Wendy again, I noticed. I don't know if maybe the writers aren't really sure what to do with her anymore now that Dipper doesn't have a crush on her anymore. I mean, Dipper actually says at one point in the episode, maybe I should just go back to obsessing over Wendy. So I don't know, maybe they felt bad about her not being in the episode after, she's basically been absent for like 2 or 3 episodes now. It's probably the 4th in a row that she's basically been existent in the whole sort of storyline, so they wanted to at least mention her to sort of acknowledge, we haven't forgotten about her. She's not dead or anything. A lot of self-aware jokes, I suppose. It's like Stan. There's a lot of jokes that go over kids' heads. Obviously talking about Duck Detective, but obviously it's really a metaphor for how people feel about the show itself. Actually, when Ford actually said that line, at least I'm not G'd up to watch a kids show, I was the first time I watched, I was kind of like, hey! Like, it didn't sort of register in my mind the first time I saw it that that was kind of just a self-aware joke, a kind of wink to the audience kind of thing. But then when Stan said that, I was like, oh yeah, because they're obviously making fun, that they're taking the piss out of themselves, obviously. And there's a bit of that at the end with Mabel saying he had a twin brother this whole time. I predicted that like a year ago. I don't know if that's actually something that the fans have been saying in response to the previous episode, but I don't know, maybe they were just anticipating that that's what the fans would say, It's kind of like what I've gotten sort of used to from, making videos on the internet as well. It's like, it doesn't matter what you do, there are always going to be some people out there that don't like it, so that's maybe they're just anticipating negative feedback to, the whole twist that they had in the last episode. Can't really think of much else to say about this one. I like these sort of visuals of the Dungeons and More Dungeons game that they played at the end. That was kind of cool. The Centaur, that's pretty creative. I don't really know how Dungeons and Dragons really works though, so I don't know how close that was to the actual thing. There's not as many laughs in this one as I was sort of hoping. I did like Mabel's line, "Why isn't he quacking?" Again, just Kristen Stewart's delivery of that line I thought was really good. She's like, she sort of just sort of comes out of the sort of goofing around to become sort of kind of serious at just the right moment there. It's just sort of so sudden, it just made me laugh out loud there. That was quite good. It's just sort of kind of a weird line to just hear out of context. Why isn't he quacking? Said in such a serious kind of voice as well. I can't think of much else to say about this one, It was a good episode and everything. All the episodes are good, but probably not going to be up there as one of my personal favourites. It's just, a few kind of interesting jokes, and that was it, But again, it's sort of nice to just have a little sort of filler episode, get back to a bit more normality and everything. Yeah, that's cool and all, but I want to see Wendy play a large role in another episode. I kind of want to see her back in the main cast, if you like, because I get the impression that they're not really sure what to do with her anymore. Especially now they have another main character to deal with. So yeah, that's that. I will see you guys for the next one in a couple of weeks. See ya.